Hello, everyone. This is Carolyn Winter, a holographic coach, repatterning practitioner, here doing a World Peace hologram session for my series for this 2018 year, Make Peace Personal for You. Okay, well, I'm so glad that you're joining us. If not now, then when you watch this recording later. Yeah, for committing to making the transformation in yourself that's going to make a difference on the planet and help us bring about peace. I know when you watch the news and you see what's happening out there, the issues are so big and so huge, and you wonder, what can me, a little individual here, I'm just here in Toronto, in a relatively safe neighborhood, how can I make a difference in the world? Well, it's my belief, and I'm joined by many others, that what we experience inside is what we radiate out into this interconnected world. We call it the grid of humanity. And everything that we ripple out, good or bad, is picked up by the grid, and we experience it coming back to us. So if we make sure that peace is in our heart, and that's what we're radiating out, we're surely going to get that peace radiating back to us. We're using the resonance repatterning system to basically help us create this peace within ourselves and radiating it out into the world. Um, Anybody can learn to do this work for themselves. There's courses you can take, books you can buy. It was developed by Chloe Faith Wordsworth. Um, and if you look around our worldpeacehologram.com website, there's more of an explanation of the method and how it works, etc. Right now, we'll just jump into the session and repattern all of the information that you've submitted to date for this repatterning. So if you're new here, you're welcome to customize this session to you. Even if the broadcast ended long ago, I still encourage you to go back to the blog post. Is probably in the link in the more information part of the YouTube video, or if you're back at the blog, it's in the blog post. There's a link for a form, and you can put in your issue for peace in the world and your own personal intention as well. The two are linked. When we start intending for everybody out there, it does come back to us. We might as well just direct that energy to something that we really want for ourselves. So wonderful. Okay, so let's get started. Now, we have a growing list of people joining this repatterning series, which is wonderful. Author Lynn McTaggart refers to the power of eight. In fact, here's her book, The Power of Eight. Wonderful book. Get it if you haven't already. She talks about the power of intending as a group. And especially if you have a minimum of 8 people, 12 is nice. In my opinion, more is better. The bigger the wave when you have more people. So we have at least 30 people have joined this group already, possibly more. I haven't checked the website since earlier this morning. Okay, so, but having said that, I have reviewed our long list of issues coming in and intentions. Actually, the 2 intentions, one for world peace and one for personal peace. But the one for world peace implies a problem out there with peace being disturbed. So just settle in. Let's just get into our heart center, and then we'll start the session. So I'm using my muscle checking indicator to check. We can start the session right now. We can. That's an on response. And we'll start with some of the pre-intentions that I summarized before starting this session. Yeah, so that's just to make this video go a little faster for you. So the first statement is basically an orientation statement, and it's from World Peace Repatterning. And the statement is this: world peace, global peace is disturbed because these 5 issues proxy all of the world issues everyone has submitted into for the series. And so global peace is disturbed because of human trafficking, gun violence, war in Syria, an addiction to fear, and inadequate leadership. And we resonate with that statement. So it's not that we're just limited to those 5 issues. There's all the others, but for the sake of brevity, those 5 statements, issues, proxy it. So next, we have what we want instead, and that is our world intentions. And we need to go there next, we do. And the world intentions are people are protected and or freed from human trafficking. We don't resonate with that, so that's an off. By the way, when I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my notes. So I'm looking here, I'm back with you doing the session. I'm just reading from my notes. The vision of living in a safe world has overpowered the vision of our fears, and we're off for that intention. Isn't that nice? We seem to be hardwired to live in fear, and if we don't have enough of our own, we'll by default, lob onto any fake news out there that'll help fuel our fear. And so it would be great to have that vision of living in a safe world that has overpowered the vision of our fear. So that would be wonderful. The world is vegetarian. That somebody submitted that, and that came up as a proxy statement. We happen to be off for that. And this one is good for any country you choose, but this person had named South Africa, and I've got a blank where you can name a country of your choice. So South Africa is a peaceful country with sufficient abundance and resources for everyone. Everyone is welcomed and appreciated for who they are and what they have to offer. Everyone respects each other. And we're off for that statement. Remember, you can customize that one for a country relevant to you. And we have leadership in place to support a peaceful, harmonious, and loving world. And we're off for that. I often think it really comes down to who are the people at the top doing all this negotiating or non-negotiating or squabbling, etc. And sometimes I think maybe what they need is a good group repatterning session. All right, well, let's look at personal intentions. That's included in the repatterning. And again, we have a long growing list of everybody's intentions. Everybody's intentions are included, but these are the ones that will proxy for this month. I have my own home, which is a sanctuary for me and all who visit. Off for that. By the way, as I say these intentions for us personally, think about how that might map back to the bigger picture of the world. My condo or apartment home is protected from secondhand smoke of all kinds from other units. The building is well maintained, and the air I breathe improves. We're off for that. And I continually have an abundance of work contracts. I am recruited for my unique skills, and we're off for that. So whether you're self-employed or looking for employment, I imagine that could apply to you. And I lose 15 pounds by November the 1st of this year. Well, we're off for that. And now, and then we've got our world awareness statement. So let's check on that. The world issues, as I mentioned before, human trafficking, gun violence, addiction to fear, inadequate leadership, and others, reflects my personal issues for money, career, and well-being. And we're off for seeing a connection for intentions for ourselves and the issues out there in the world, or our issues in ourselves and the issues out there in the world. And we're off for that awareness. Okay, so now I'm going to check the Mandela. I've explained before about where we go next in the session. So let's check on that. We need orientation. I'll just show you. This Mandela is like a map of where we go in the session. We need orientation. We don't. We need to check on problems into opportunities. No. Intentions, new possibility intentions. No. A repatterning is needed. Yes. So for that, I have over 100 different repatternings. We need primary patterns and conscious patterns. We'll go there. This book of repatternings, and each one of these repatterning routines give us about 10 more pieces of information that fill out this whole scenario of why aren't we experiencing world peace or our own personal intentions. We need 1 through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's integration for growth repatterning. And this is one where sometimes we need the whole thing and sometimes we just need a little piece. We need the whole thing? I didn't think so. It's all for that. We need the mental attitude needed. Yes. So I'm going straight to that section. There's a lovely list of qualities there. 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3. And the statement is this: if you're watching along at home, you can say these with me to really feel the effect of the session as we unroll it. And the session is, the statement is, I hold and integrate higher frequencies of energy in my system. And we're off for that. Having written that out, we are off for it. And there's another statement from this list. Yes, I'm ready to align myself with a new and more highly energized state of being. And we're off for that. And we're off for that. So sometimes we do our life in a particular way because that's the way we've always done it, not realizing that we've been trapped by our unconscious patterns. And sometimes, you do a lot of healing on yourself and you transform, and there's a new part of you waiting to take off, but there's another part of you that's still kind of doing the same old. And as a consequence, your energy is not really spiraling up the way you would expect. So this statement says, I'm ready to align myself with a new and more highly energized state of being. So spiraling up to another level. When you do spiral up, you'll it's almost like somebody gave you brand new glasses. You get to see a bigger vision or view of the world, and things that seemed to be like, everybody does it this way, is now you have a new reality or a new awareness that, wow, people have different points of view, or there's another way of doing this part of my life, etc. So and sometimes when you see that view, you can keep what's already working in your life just the way it is, but you can open up new possibilities for yourself in other areas where it's not working anymore and you want more energy. So a more highly energized state of being would be lovely. Okay, and just imagine what that would mean for the world at large if we all spiraled up that way. We need anything else from a list of these qualities for a mental attitude? We don't. All right, we need something else then from repatterning. We do. So primary patterns and conscious patterns, chakra patterns, meridian and 5 elements, relationships, visions, energetics, family systems, inner cultivation. Yeah, so this is a book of repatternings where there's a repatterning for each of the meridians in the acupuncture system. Is this one. It takes us to work that's deeply spiritual for each of these meridians. We need something from wood element, fire, from earth, from metal, from the water element. It's from the season, the year we've just finished with, barely up here in the northern hemisphere. And we need bladder, we need kidney meridian. So we'll go to the kidney meridian. It's active, by the way, between 5 and 7 p.m. and it's 5 o'clock here in Toronto, or just a little after. And we need to read something about it. Also checking we don't. We need to identify the present issue. We do. So it's the issue that we've already identified to do with world peace. It is. So what are you most afraid of? So we're going to have to discern some of this from what people have submitted. Well, human trafficking, wow. So I'll put here kidney meridian repatterning. And What are we most afraid of is the first question. In the present, is there a situation or a relationship that you resign to or that's compromising your health and well-being? So let's check. Out of the ones that we were working with as a proxy today, it's one of these. It is. It's human trafficking, gun violence, war in Syria, it's addiction to fear, it's inadequate leadership. Yes. So it's inadequate leadership, and we're all at some level responsible for being a leader in this world. Um, and how is that? In the present, is there a situation that's compromising your health and well being, which is using up your energy? So it's coming up as inadequate leadership. Now, if we thought about that in the world stage, that's where we need to answer this question. We do. So, inadequate leadership, I'm going to just intuit what the session is asking, given what we know about what's disturbing peace in the world. Inadequate leadership um, uh, is fueling poor communications, I guess rivalry, power imbalances comes to mind. There's more and more details. We need to know the primary statements. It's fueling poor communications. Anything else? It's just that one statement. And we need anything else added to this statement. No, now you can appreciate there's probably, depending on your awareness of what's going on in the world, you could fill that in with lots of detail, but we don't actually need the detail to change the frequency. So right now, the statement that stands for all of that is inadequate leadership is fueling poor communication. And our resonance as a group for this is we resonate with that. And of course, what we resonate with is then what we're going to experience. And then the next question is, what are you most afraid of? So I am afraid of, well, escalating violence, human rights violations, um, war. Going back to this list that we have here: gun violence, addiction to fear, uh, that it will never get better, or that things will get worse. Things will get worse. And so that's the statement it is. So we'll say this statement as our fear statement. I'm afraid of escalating violence, human rights violations, war, and that things will get worse. And we're on for that. Who has the power in this situation and in what way? Well, I think if you're just an ordinary person, not in a position of power or influence or, on the world stage, etc., everybody else has the power. So I'm going to say the captains of industry, politics, um, there's something else. And huh, there's any other group? No. So the captains of industry and politics have the power, have the control over the economies, policies, national resources. And so they have the control over all of that and the power. And we are resonating with that hopeless situation. Okay, how do we give our power away to these captives of industry and politics? So think about that. Um, what we do is I'm going to just say what comes to my mind, given all of your responses. We avoid voting, complaining to legislators. We don't make our voice known. We accept the lies. I mean, there are lies on the news broadcasts every day, and we just accept it. It's like, oh, isn't that sweet? They did it again. We accept the lies as normal, and um, and we need to list more. There's probably other things. You can fill them into the notes if you wish. But at this point, we'll say that these things drain my energy and disempowers me. Now it says, should we make this a we or a me? It's we. We avoid voting, complaining to legislators. We don't make our voices known. We accept the lies as normal. And this drains our energy and disempowers us. We are resonating with that statement. Now here's a question for you. How are you draining your energy or depleting your reserves in your life? For instance, this may also involve the depletion through excessive sexual activity, negative projections, fantasizing, overwork, overexercise, not getting enough sleep, or irregular times of rising and going to bed. So pick your poison here. I deplete my reserves of energy by, well, I'm going to put up, this is true for me just lately, staying up late, um, being tense. And we need to list more. I have a list. We need something from the list. We need to know the primary. So I deplete my reserves of energy by staying up late and being tense. And after that, I don't know about you, but it's like when I get a snippet of something on the earlier newscast of something wrong in the world, I'll stay up till really late at night just to get the latest thing on what happened at the White House last. And then my sleep cycle is disturbed, and then I have a miserable day the next day, sort of thing. And before you know it, you can be drained of your energy. Um, there's other things you can fill that in for yourself. What do you do that depletes you of your energy when you're stressed out, either for those things personally or for the world issues we identified? It might be you watch too much TV, or you fantasize a lot, or you don't exercise. What is it for you? Do you have any negative habit or attitude that you lack the willpower to overcome? So somebody actually made the statement of, I want to lose 15 pounds. So we'll use that statement as a proxy for everyone. I use my willpower to overcome. I use my willpower to overcome um, uh, eating habits that put on unnecessary weight. And we're off for that. Now, if you have a different habit you'd like to kick, you can fill that in there too. And so we're off for using our willpower. Okay. All right. Well, that's what our kidney meridian is all about: is having that willpower and overcoming fear, etc. We're going to check on an earlier experience. We're not going to do the earlier experience. It's quite different for each one of us. I usually reserve that for personal sessions. But we are going to check on the non-coherent kidney official quality that's involved. And this is number 1, number 2, number 3. No. 4, 5, 6. I overwhelm. I intimidate others with my willpower. And we're on for that non-coherent quality. intimidate others with my willpower. We're on for that. And now there's a section here called the positive intentions needed for a new coherent memory imprint. And the first section asks, what resources do you have in the present that you didn't have in the past, either inner or outer resources, that will give you the strength to handle your present situation in an empowered way? And so let's think about that. What resources do we have that will help us with this, either with our personal intention or the world intention that we're working with? So I'll just start the sentence here. We'll see what comes up. Now in the present, and what do we, I take the time to routinely write to my political representative, let's call it that, with my point of view and requests. With more name or details. No, that seems to be it. And which, but we're going to add to that, which enables me to listen to my inner voice and improve the situation. So they may or may not get back to you. Usually you get a standard reply response, but it's energetically you're doing something. You're acting on the world around you. And I'm assuming that it's that when you do this, you're in a country where it's actually safe to write to your political representative. And if it isn't, then writing to one that you could trust is a good alternative. And I'm muscle checking that is the case. So let me just enables me. All right, so let's say this statement. Now in the present, I take the time to routinely write to my political representative with my point of view and requests, which enables me to listen to my inner voice and improve my situation. And we're off for taking action with resources we already have in the present, whatever that action is. And now this next question, again, this is very much kidney meridian energy. And it's I have the willpower and the wisdom to use the appropriate amount of energy to handle the world issues in my own way. And we're off for that. Willpower and the wisdom to use the appropriate amount of energy to handle the world situation in my own way. Now, we needed to add more to that. We don't, but we're still off for it. So we don't resonate with having willpower and the wisdom to use the appropriate amount of energy to handle the world situation in my own way. And that's any of those world situations where you submitted an issue for. And it might be all you can really do is a session like this. Or you join a peace protest, or you write a letter, or you let your voice be known, or you talk to your neighbor, you have a conversation with somebody just to make sure that there's awareness in the world. Do whatever takes the appropriate amount of energy for you to do this. Now we need a coherent kidney meridian quality. So if everything was, balanced, this is what we would have. 1, 2. It's number 1. It's number 2. I control the release of my sexual energy through giving and receiving intimate, loving, heart-centered touch with joy and appreciation. So I'm not sure quite how that's coming up, but that's the statement we need, and we happen to be off for it. I control the release of my sexual energy through giving and receiving Giving and receiving intimate, loving, heart-centered touch with joy and appreciation. And that is awe. And of course, sexual energy can be so destructive if used in quite the opposite way of intimate relationships. So for the group of us resonating with this can put quite a different energy out into the field that's loving, compassionate, and heart-centered and brings joy and appreciation. All right. And we need something else from 1 through 5 from this list. No. 6 through 10 to 15 to 20, 15, 16. I focus on cultivating wisdom in how I access and use my inherited constitution and remain unattached to the results of my endeavors. And we're off for that. So I focus on cultivating wisdom. I focus on cultivating wisdom in how I access and use my inherited constitution and remain unattached to the results of my endeavors. The wisdom in how I access and use my inherited constitution. So we all have a kind of a constitutional type of how our energy system works, how the energy flows through our system. And if you kind of knew your type and you really worked with your type, which is what these types, this kidney meridian repatterning, it's one of 12 repatternings that help you really drill down to your constitutional type. And when you understand what your constitutional type is, then you're better able to navigate the world, handle problems, release problems, etc. And this statement says, and remain unattached to the results of your endeavors. So interesting. And in a way, if we had that inner awareness of cultivating that wisdom inside of us for our constitutional type, and we radiate that out to the world stage, to the grid of humanity, imagine world leaders having done the work on themselves and knowing themselves so well that they're able to basically use that wisdom with other people and remain unattached to the results of their endeavors. They're just, acting on the world, for a greater good, etc. All right, we need any other kidney meridian coherent qualities. We don't. All right, so now it's time for us to look at, well, what will shift this energy at the kidney meridian level so that out there in the world, we have peace. So I'm going to do a shortened version of this. Those are my colleagues tuning in. There's a more analytical version of doing this if you were doing a personal session with me. But for the sake of time on one of these broadcasts, we'll muscle check which is the actual kidney meridian point that would make the difference. I'm just going to show you a map of the kidney meridian. It starts here at the clavicle, runs bilaterally down either side of the sternum, all down the front of the body and the inner side of the leg, and ends up here at the big toe. So yeah, very powerful meridian. It goes right through the whole body. And when we're in fear, it governs. It's the palace of fear. And so if you have control of your kidney meridian, you can pretty much control all fears that are quite natural to have in life. They don't have to take over your life. You can put them in proper perspective. So, and wouldn't that be great on the world stage? All right, so let's look at what kidney meridian point. There's like 27 points, but we're only looking at the elemental points and the source point as a way of shifting profoundly the energy at a deep inner level. So we need a wood element point for quieting. We don't. A fire element point for warming things up. No. Earth point or a source point for hope and nurturing. No. A metal point for acknowledgement and value and respect. Yes. Now, this is kidney number 7, for those of you who know where that is. That's the 7 point on the kidney meridian. And I'll show you where that is in a second, because we'll each be able to do this. But first I'll tell you, this metal point allows for spiritual connection and a deep inner reassurance that gives you the strength and energy to face your fears and move forward with wisdom. This metal point has a cleansing effect, reconnecting you to your values and your sense of self-worth. Because the metal element supports valuing yourself, this point helps you to do those things that recharge your batteries and replenish your reserves. And it tonifies the yin and yang stored in the left and right kidneys. As a result, it ensures that the heavenly influence of yang is not depleted by excessive focus on the yin of worldly desires and ambitions. A really nice balancing effect there. So it's number 7. It's on the inside of the leg, above the inside ankle bone. And if I just show you where it is, it's number 7 on this map. Okay, you can probably see that. Number 7 is right about there. And it's the left foot, right foot. So just on one side is all that's needed. Get your right foot and put your finger kind of above the ankle bone at 2 or 3 inches and slightly towards the back. I'm going to use this chart as a proxy for all of you. And holding that point, we need to put a color with the point, a sound, an eye movement or an eye position. We just need the contact. So my suggestion is to close your eyes if you're doing this along at home. Helpful to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. That helps. And just breathe. And we're going to hold this for a minute more, 2 minutes. For 2 minutes, I'll let you know when that's done. And just breathe. Hmm. A few more seconds. And muscle checking. We're about at the 2-minute mark. So yeah, this is done. Slowly take your hand away from the point. So I've done. And take a deep integrating breath. You may or may not have felt anything with that. Sometimes you feel a little surge of energy or some heat or a quiver. That's the energy moving. And it's releasing the toxins or the non-coherent patterns that have come up in this session. Okay, we need something else to help transform these patterns at this time. We don't. So we've got all of our statements. We've done the spiral up tool, which is holding that meridian point. Let's go back to the beginning and see what we've shifted. Taking a look. So world peace disturbance, the global peace is disturbed because of human trafficking, gun violence, war in Syria, an addiction to fear, and inadequate leadership. And we no longer resonate with that. Now, it's true that those things still exist, but our energy is not going there as to fuel it and make it more real and keep it going. It's making it a neutral fact. This is just the fact of what's happening, like witnessing it. World intentions. People are protected and freed from human trafficking. We resonate with that. The vision of living in a safe world has overpowered the vision of our fears. We're on for that. Lovely. Say the countries around the world become proactive about cleaning up water pollution. I think I missed that one last time, but we're on for that. And the world is vegetarian. We're on for that. South Africa or any other country that is relevant to you, has meaning for you, is a peaceful country with sufficient abundance and resources for everyone. Everyone is welcomed and appreciated for who they are and what they have to offer, and everyone respects each other. And we are on for that. Good. We have leadership in place to support peaceful, harmonious, a loving world. And we're on for that. So before we move into the next section, I would like to suggest to you a way to integrate that part of the session is to, when you receive the notes, I'll have them posted back online, is to watch the news for any evidence of things shifting in that direction. And if you find it, I invite you to make a reply to the post or tweet about it, put at Carolyn Winter, and I'll find it and I'll retweet your tweet, etc. Find the evidence in a newspaper clipping or in your neighborhood and notice it. Once you notice it, you've made it real. Okay. And to that end, I just want to say from the last session, there was something mentioned about gun violence in Toronto. And I noticed several things this month about parent groups having fed up enough parents that normally are too shy to come out of the woodwork and say something, have had enough. And they've been protesting and meeting at City Hall, etc. And I thought to myself, wow, I hope that's our intention at play. So next, the world issues. This is our awareness statement. The world issues of human trafficking, gun violence, addiction to fear, inadequate leadership, and other world issues reflects my personal issues for money, career, and well-being. And we're on for being aware that what's going on in here is reflected out there and vice versa. And then I hold and integrate higher frequencies of energy in my system. We're on for that. So we have the energy to do things better. I'm ready to align myself with a new and more highly energized state of being. And we're on for that. And so let's just take a pause there. That finishes off that section. And, you know, as we move forward from this session, just notice how your life is just a little bit different. Maybe you've got more energy. Maybe you're seeing life in a different way. Appreciate yourself for the fact that you've nudged the needle a little bit towards, you know, the top part of the spiral here, right? You've made choices, maybe unconsciously, but related to this session that are now moving you upward. Align with a new and more positive, more highly energized state of being. Okay, the statements for our Kidney Meridian. Inadequate leadership is fueling poor communication. We no longer resonate with that. So look out in the news for, you know, leaders saying amazing things that are a reflection of much better communication. I'm afraid of escalating violence, human rights violations, war, that things will get worse. And we're cleared for that. Cleared for that fear. Captains of industry, politics have the control over economies, policies, natural resources, and the power. And we're cleared for that. We have more power as an individual on this planet than we realize or recognize or value. And as soon as we all resonate with that, they're as vulnerable as anybody else. Right? Say we avoid voting, complaining to legislators, we don't make our voices known, we accept the lies as normal, and this drains our energy and disempowers us. We're off for that. I often wonder if some, people, especially people with chronic, illnesses and ailments, how much of that is just being plugged into the grid of, bad things happening higher up. Um, when you plug into this grid, it improves. All right, so say I deplete my reserves of energy, staying up late and being tense. So we're cleared for that way of handling our poor energy. I use my willpower to overcome eating habits that put on unnecessary weight. Well, hallelujah, we're on for that. Um, the non coherent kidney quality, I intimidate others with my willpower. We're cleared for that. Now, in the present, I take the time to routinely write my political representative with my point of view and requests, which enables me to listen to my inner voice and improve my situation. And we're on for that. Three more statements. I have the willpower and the wisdom to use the appropriate amount of energy to handle the world situation in my own way. And we're on for that. So, meaning, maybe you're just doing this repatterning. That's wonderful. Maybe you're talking to neighbors about peace in the world or how we can make the neighborhood better or the city better or the country better or how we view different things going on in the world. Getting everything aired is the way to get things, people thinking in a more positive way. I control the release of my sexual energy through giving and receiving intimate, loving, heart centered touch with joy and appreciation. And we're resonating with that positive use of sexual energy. And lastly, say, I focus on cultivating wisdom and how I access and use my inherited constitution and remain unattached to the results of my endeavors. And you are on for that wonderful statement as well. So, all of the statements have cleared. We need any positive action to help integrate this session. We don't, we are repatterned. So, my friends, thank you again for continuing your participation in this program, for resonating with peace in your heart and radiating it out into the world. Again, if you notice peace shifting, especially for your intentions, come back to this blog or come back to this video and leave your comments. Show us the evidence. It's anecdotal, but it does add up. And it's that Heisenberg principle of, they call it the uncertainty principle. And that is, the world is basically an unmanifested place. And what becomes reality is only the things that you pay attention to. So pay attention to peace. Let's make it happen. Okay, this is Carolyn Winter. Thank you so much for creating peace with us together, and we'll see you again next month. Bye for now.